Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Havenwood, and welcome to Real Sex Talk with Kim and Brad Walker. Sizzling erotic discussions for sexy couples and singles. You can find them at tantrichearts.com. Okay, let's meet your hosts, Kim and Brad Walker. They want to help you take charge of your sex life and discover freedom and confidence with real sex talk. Kim and Brad, founders and creators of tantrichearts.com, share erotic, sizzling discussions with passion, humor to help you transform your desires into reality. So let's meet Kim and Brad. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Good to be here.
So exciting to be doing the first episode for Real Sex Talk. So let's just start with the basics. So Kim, I'm going to throw this one out to you, right? So Kim, why did you start this show? What's the intention and who should be listening? What's the whole point of Real Sex Talk?
The whole point of the Real Sex Talk is to empower sexy couples and singles to be much more empowered and have the confidence and freedom and have that connection and intimacy in their relationships. That is the whole vision of the Real Sex Talk podcast.
More passion now.
Yes.
More passion now. That is just so sexy. Now, I want to say that when you and I both of you talked about creating this, the one thing that we wanted to make sure that was placed in here is this is adult conversations, right? This is adult conversations with real conversations about sex, sexuality, and turning back on the passion, turning your turn on again. Is that right?
Yes,
absolutely.
Igniting the passion.
Igniting the passion.
Okay. No holes barred, as it is.
No holes barred. Well, you guys are a super sexy couple. If you're listening and not watching them on video, they are this super sexy, passionate couple. So I want to tell you, everyone, who Kim is in the world. Kim is a Tantra educator, success and passion coach, massage therapist, and hypnotist. She has been described as the girl next door, where you would not expect her to be so knowledgeable and experienced in sex techniques and an empowered goddess. Kim is insightfully real, easily approachable, and her gifts inspire others to be empowered and transform their lives into what they want them to be. So I have to ask you, Kim, how did all this get started?
I got started I was in the healing arts, and the people coming to me for massage therapy were automatically releasing sexual traumas on my table. And I was like, how can I continue to help them? So I started training their partners on the tantric techniques, and it's just blossomed from there.
Wow, that's kind of hot and sexy. So, Brad, how did this get started for you? Did she just come up one day and massage you?
Actually, I introduced it to Kim when we were first married. I was introduced to it as a teenager. I wasn't a jock. I was kind of a brainiac with Coke bottle glasses and, probably weighed 98 pounds soaking wet. So I wasn't a big hit with the girls, and I was looking for a way to connect better in my budding relationships. And I discovered accidentally in the library of all places, Tantra and what it was all about. And man, did I keep it a secret for many years from all the other guys in school. And they were kind of amazed at why this super geek was getting the chicks, so nowadays I don't hide it at all. I want to shout it from the mountaintops. I think it's a great skill set for everyone to learn.
So let's talk about what that is for just a second. And before we get started, I want to tell everyone who's listening who Brad is. Brad is a Tantra educator himself, passion coach, and massage therapist. He shares wisdom and insight in an entertaining and humorous way. His fun, relaxed, and spontaneous approach uplifts the spirit and helps individuals, couples, and groups find ecstatic experiences in everyday life. And your energy, just watching you and connecting with you, is just this open, loving space. And I just really love that. But what would you say to a man who's single or married listening to this going, I don't understand this stuff, this Tantra thing, I don't get it. What does that mean? Do I have to do I have to do something really weird? But Brad, by the way, just so you know, Brad's a guy. He's a very strong, masculine guy. So what would you say to men who are listening going, I'm not sure about this stuff?
Well, guys, don't be afraid to get in touch with your lady in ways that you hadn't imagined before. Okay. So I think one of the secrets, so we've been married now 25 years, or will be 25 years this month. And I think one of the secrets to staying married that long, or to even finding that perfect mate, is to engage in things that excite your partner. And what I found at an early age was touch, erotic touch, sensual touch. Being a massage therapist was awesome because I learned sensual touch, and that's easy to take it to the next level to erotic touch when you're with an intimate partner. Dance is another great way to connect with a partner. I think if you could take a dance class, guys, you know, I don't care if you're a super jock, it doesn't hurt. A lot of the best jocks out there take ballet classes for better movement, but it's also great because women love to dance, and it's a great way to connect with them. I call it vertical foreplay.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Oh, wait, that is hot. Vertical foreplay. I've never heard dance called vertical foreplay. That's super sexy. First of all, I love the fact that you guys have been married for 25 years. That is insane and amazing and beautiful all at the same time. And you guys are just a powerful, sexy couple. Now, I know there's some things that you guys do right now in your business. I want to give people a snapshot of what you guys have been doing for the last 18 years in your business and what Tantric Hearts is all about. So if you could just share what you guys are doing now and some of the amazing results some of your clients are doing. And I know you do some travel as well.
So Tantra, let me just share what Tantra is. It's basically sacred sexuality, and it's finding joy in everything you do. And whether it's cooking a meal with your beloved,
bigger and better orgasms,
working in the garden,
bigger and
or
better
having bigger and better orgasms, we use that energy to manifest positive realities in our life. And Tantra.
So we've been teaching that. You ask what we've been doing with Tantric Hearts for 18 years. We've been teaching through a variety of what we call play shops, because they're too much fun to be called workshops. We teach sexual play shops, sensual play shops, to couples and singles in our home studio here in Houston, Texas. Around the world, host couples bring us to their location to teach individual play shops or groups of play shops, and also tantric travel. We involve ourselves with erotic travel. We teach in very exotic resorts all over, like Hedonism 2 in Jamica. You may have heard of it.
It's a very famous clothing optional resort. And we offer some amazing play shops. One of them is called Drive You Wild with Desire. Ooh. And it's a sensory awakening where you blindfold your partner and you tease each sense one at a time: sound, then smell, then taste, then touch. And we use silks, feathers, aromas, erotic touch, massage, chocolates, and it ends with a sensual explosion.
Yes.
Wow, a sensual explosion. I'm still on the thing that Brad was saying earlier, which is just, what'd you say? Just more orgasms, better orgasms.
Bigger and better
and better orgasms. I just love this conversation. And when you and I first talked about this as a group, we talked about, we really want to make sure that who's listening really is singles or couples or people in between that really want to bring passion back in, and they don't know how to do it in today's world. I think that's really huge missing. I think that real sex talk, you're going to be bringing in conversations and discussions about sexuality, sensuality, connection on a different level. Are you going to be talking about things like BDSM? Are you going to be going there? Where's the boundaries you guys going to go or not go? Can you share that so people know what to expect?
So Tantra is an all-inclusive philosophy. So there is no boundaries. You can explore.
You set your own boundaries. Yes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So whatever you're comfortable with and doesn't harm others is certainly not off limits for tantric exploration.
What we have found with some of our couples is that maybe one of them wants to explore and the other one does not. And that was sort of how it was with our relationship in the beginning. Brad introduced me to Tantra, and he was like, "Hey, Kim, let's have a tantric weekend." And I'm like, "Well, what's that?" And
just be patient. I'll explain. And I told her all about the weekend, how we were going to tease each other right to the brink of the orgasm, but not over the edge.
And I said, no, I did not want to wait.
She didn't let me finish that sentence like just now. I was going to say until Sunday, and when we explode all over each other like,
But I still did not want to wait.
That's so adorable. You guys are so freaking cute, by the way. I just love the energy between you two are just so magical. And I wanted to also have people realize what kind of results you're getting. So one of the assignments that you and I had discussed the last time before we went to Jamaica and Hedonism, I said, make sure you bring your phone or your recording, because a lot of people don't want their image, I know, said, but I wanted you to get the testimonials from some of the clients. And I wanted to just have you guys share what people say at the end of working with you two as a couple.
A lot of couples will come up afterwards and say, oh my gosh, this has transformed our relationship and our life. It will be better forever.
That happened just this last trip. I had a gentleman approach me and he said, we've been married for over 30 years. And I will tell you, this event this week in Hedo, because of your play shops, has made a phenomenal difference in our relationship. I can see it already. And it's the best thing that's happened to us. We hear that so much. We have so many written testimonials because, as you said, many people don't want to share their image necessarily with something sexual. But gosh, for years, as you can see from our website, it's just full of testimonial statements from couples, and couples who've been together 50 years or just a few months. It doesn't matter. It takes the same connection, both sensual and spiritual, to keep a relationship vital, vibrant and vital.
So, Kim, let me ask you this. I know you and I have talked about this before, and you talked about you really wanted to make sure that in the description of the show, you wanted to make sure there's a word singles in there, just not couples. So if you could if someone's listening going, well, this sounds great, but I'm not married. I've not been married to someone for 25 years. I just got divorced and that wasn't very good, or I'm looking for my partner. What would you say to them? Like, well, do I need to be in a relationship to learn Tantra? How can that help me find the one?
Yeah, you don't have to have a partner to practice your Tantra. Actually, I was basically using my sexual energy to manifest my soulmate. I had a list of everything I wanted for my soulmate: physical, spiritual, emotional, intellectual. And I was so detailed with that list. So singles who are interested in a relationship and finding the perfect relationship, I highly recommend that they write down exactly what they want. I said his name had to rhyme with dad because I had a son from a previous marriage. His name is Brad. I said he had to have the perfect lingam. Lingam is Sanskrit for penis. And so I said it had to be perfect for me. I'd had too small, too big.
Perfect.
He was perfect for me.
You guys are so freaking adorable. Okay, so all right, that's awesome. So what you're saying is someone who's single listening, they can write down everything that they want in this detailed list. Brad, I want to pass it on to you. Same question, really.
Yes.
Someone's listening going, they're a man going, hey, this sounds great, but I'm single. How can I use Tantra how can they use Tantra as a guy?
We're going to cover a lot of topics throughout this series, including pheromones and the roles they play, different types of activities. As you mentioned earlier, BDSM is only one rather edge exploration of sexuality, but we're going to cover a whole range of them, including different techniques to attract a mate. And one of those things for guys is you need to be comfortable with yourself before you can find the right person who will be comfortable with you. So we're going to have quite frank discussions throughout this series on how you can attract the right person to you and be the right person to be attractive.
Yeah. That's really sexy. Well, I want to tell you a little bit more, listeners, who Kim and Brad Walker are. They're international speakers, passion coaches, best-selling author, featured for 18 years as a theme park for Tantra Week at Hedonism 2 and for Jamaica. That's a long time for them to continually be calling you back. That means that they're getting huge successes for their guests. They offer their passion play shops at conventions and on cruises, and has been at hosted locations and out of their Houston area studio. They do live in Houston, Texas. And by the way, for someone myself who lives in Texas, I always feel like Texas is very constrained and conservative. So I just love the fact that you guys are Texans. They've also been featured on Channel 2 Houston News, the cable show, 7 Days of Sex, and also Self Magazine, Sexpert.com, and other radio and television talk shows. So really, here's the thing I want everyone to hear is that they're really passionate in educating and assisting sexy couples and singles. That's really key to come alive with abundance, love, intimacy, vitality, and empowerment. So I just kind of want to take a second for both of you. What is the future of Tantric Hearts, and what's the future of this show, Real Sex Talk? What do you see happening?
Well, the future of Tantric Hearts is we're going to be traveling all over, helping people to become empowered with their sexuality, being more confident, having the freedom to express themselves and have fun.
When we started 18 years ago at Hedonism, we were there 2 weeks a year. Now, Tantra Week at Hedo is 8 weeks this year, and should be growing even more next year. We're adding cruise ship events as well, clothing optional takeovers of cruise lines. We're the Tantra instructors on the cruise ship. It's called Bliss Cruise. Check it out on Google. And we're also traveling wider than we were before. Most of our travel was, besides Jamaica, continental U.S., and now we're looking at venues across the world. Where Kim is also, as a certified hypnotist now, she's involving her hypnosis in our tantric education in the form of erotic hypnosis. So if you can imagine being hypnotized to have bigger and better orgasms and
heightened
find
sensitivity
triggers to that, yay, hey.
We had a great session just yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, that one's good. So
and I do online hypnosis sessions.
That is really awesome. By the way, I'm personally extremely interested in this. I think everybody should be, but that's really hot that you're you're certified hypnotist, and now you're using that technique and using that kind of experience and helping people go to the next level in their sensuality and sexuality. I want to kind of ask a question to both of you that someone might be thinking. They might be thinking, well, what's the difference between sensuality and sexuality? That is a question that, because sometimes I think people feel, and I'll speak for myself and someone I was having a conversation with, they said, well, I'm not very sexual. I'm not very sensual. What if I'm not in a relationship? Does sexuality mean that I have to be having sex or fucking somebody else? Or is sensuality part of that? Or a lot of people kind of uncollapse. People that have obviously had sex and they're not sexual or they're not sensual because they've not allowed that out. How can you, as a couple or as individuals, do you help people kind of find that journey?
I think the sensuality has to do with something that comes from within you and is expressed. And the sexuality can be like the physical act.
Yeah. For me, the difference between being sensual and being sensual is anything to do with your senses. So, if I touch her in a therapeutic massage, that's sensual. If I take it to the next level and focus on those erogenous zones and do it with the intention of arousing her, it becomes sexual. So certainly many of our sensual moves can be sexual moves as well if we have the right intention. So it's all about intention.
Oh, I love that. It's all about intention. Thank you for that. Thank you for explaining the difference between sexuality and sensuality. Because a lot of people go, well, I've had sex, right? Obviously, or I'm older, but what does that mean? Sensuality. Does that mean I got to slow it down? But I think the word that is so beautiful, and just being and listening, like being with you guys, just being with you, even if it's video here, you guys like play with each other. You flirt with each other, and you guys have this like playful energy. And if I had to put a word to it and tell me what you think, is like the play shops, the passion play shops that you guys do at tantrichearts.com is really all about learning to play again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Play. We learn play as children, and we kind of unlearn it as adults. We don't give ourselves enough time to play. And then when we do, many of us are playing without our partner. The guys find golf or basketball or something else out of the house. Their partners their play may be with their girlfriends shopping. It may be tennis. It may be something else, but it's often not play together. So find ways that you can play together. And it doesn't always have to be in the bedroom. We got thrown out of lots of places.
You guys are so awesome. Oh my gosh. I've been married for 25 years. That's another story I'm sure you guys are going to share. So everyone listening, I just want to say, I encourage you, if you're single or in a relationship and you just really want to find your own sensuality, or even if you're in a relationship and you want to still find your own sensuality, this couple that you're going to be listening to in this podcast and show is truly teachers. They've lived this work. And I think it's really important for people to know that you've gone through your own hardships around it. I'm sure it wasn't easy as a couple to come out and say, we're just doing this now. I'm pretty sure. And I wanted to ask you that question. When you started coming out with Tantra cards 18 years ago, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure you came across people in your life that were close to you at the time that didn't approve, or family members that didn't approve. I don't know, but I think that there's a moment when we kind of rupture into something new. People, like the people that don't want that to happen, kind of tell us that. Did you have any resistance in your world when you started 18 years ago?
We did keep it a secret where we were going from our family.
Yeah, clothing optional resorts. We were raised in religious Catholic households, so revealing that we were traveling to an erotic resort to teach sex would have been a little difficult for me to share with my mom. Now, all of my brothers and sisters know. My mom she understands that I tell her we teach couples relationship building classes, Mom, and she's okay with that.
Tell her yoga and massage.
Yoga and massage. Right. It is something I think unique. It's not, especially, I can feel the potential pain you may have. You might not at this point in your life. You've done it so long. You have a circle of people that just love and adore you and doesn't bother you. But I know for myself and other people who might be listening, maybe they live in the Midwest. They don't live in San Francisco that's very open, or New York or LA, where things are just open on any kind of level. I think that in the Midwest or in the South, there is kind of this hush hush to it. And there is that society that maybe grew up in the church. I grew up in Baptist in Houston. As you know, I was a Baptist girl in Houston, Texas, born and raised. And I definitely wasn't told about sensuality and sexuality in the church, for goodness sake, much less Texas. So I kind of just wanted to give you an opportunity here as we close out. It's like, what kind of just empowerment, motivation message, and inspirational message do you want to share with people to make sure that they come back and listen to you?
Well, I will say this about the spiritual aspect of Tantra.
Yeah.
Growing up in a religious household, I rarely heard anything about sex. In fact, for most of us, I would say we learn about sex through media. In my day, it was magazines and VHS. You remember those? And today it's DVDs and streaming online media. But that doesn't give us a realistic expectation. It's often got a fake soundtrack, and it's looped, and their stamina is not real. Some of their techniques aren't reproducible in any realistic fashion. So to take that and bring it to the real world, basically. We were taught that sex is something that's dirty. Don't talk about it. Don't share it, but save it for someone you love. Wow. What
a mixed message.
Mixed message. Yeah. Yes. So we help people to overcome some of those limiting blocks and behaviors and thoughts that keep them from being fully sexual and even spiritually connected with their partner.
And I found that, he would come to me. I wanted more intimacy, more connection in the relationship. And he would come to me with different things to do. And my automatic answer was no. And it's like, why am I saying no to connection and intimacy? I had to really analyze, why is this? Is it culture or religion or what is it that's making me say no to something that I want and something that I want to have with my partner.
How did you overcome that, Kim? Because I think a lot of women listening would say, oh, I understand that. How did you overcome that? What did you do for yourself, and how did you overcome that?
I had to analyze it and figure out why first. Was it culture or religion? Was it something just placed on me? And is this really me? And I had to go in, okay, what do I want? Do I want joy? Do I want connection? Do I want intimacy? And it's like, okay, I'll try it. And then once I got through it, it was like, oh my gosh, this was so wonderful. And so I just kept trying and kept doing, and it worked out great.
You went from no to yes.
I went no to yes, yes.
And wouldn't we all want to go from no to yes? If yes means more passion now.
More passion now. So this is really beautiful, and I love what you guys are creating for people to really have a safe space. When you're doing a podcast and a show, it's a safe space to learn and a safe space to connect with your energy, and a safe space to be able to say, yes, I want this. Even if it's just listening to the podcast while they're driving to the grocery store, they can say, yes, I can feel that. Yes, I want this. And I think this is a great opportunity that you're creating this amazing safe space for people all over the world to really say yes to their sensuality and sexuality. So I just really want to honor you for doing that. And go check out Kim and Brad Walker at tantrichearts.com. And you're listening to in iTunes, Google Play, and many other locations. And share this with a friend, a girlfriend, or a guy friend, or your spouse, and say, hey, just listen to Brad and listen to Kim, and just allow yourself to say yes to your own sensuality and sexuality. So I'm just really honor that. Any last words?
More passion now.
More passion now, and bigger and better orgasms.
Bigger and better orgasms.
Yes. I love that. All right, everyone, go check out tantrichearts.com. This is Heather Havenwood. You're listening to Real Sex Talk with Kim and Brad Walker. Sizzling erotic discussions for sexy couples and singles.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.